You know that feeling when you've poured your absolute heart and soul into something, but it feels like nobody noticed? You gave your time, your energy, your best stuff, all just to watch someone else get the credit. It's a feeling we all know, and it's what we're going to get into today.
And deep down, this little question can start to creep in, especially when you're always in the background. Does what I'm doing, does it even matter? So many of us ask ourselves that in the quiet moments.
You were their #1 fan, right? When they won, your applause was probably the loudest one in the room.
You lent them your strength so they could keep going. You were that steady hand when they were about to stumble.
Yep, you were the foundation. The whole unseen support system that actually made their big public success possible in the first place.
And that's the rub, isn't it? Our world is all about what's loud and what's visible. The followers, the likes, the person in the spotlight. So when you're the one holding the ladder, it's so easy to feel completely invisible.
But there's this ancient story that hits this feeling right on the head. It reveals a powerful truth about a totally different kind of value. It's the story of a man you've probably never heard of, a guy named Barzillai.
So the story starts with a king, and we're not talking about just any king. We're talking about the King David, the giant slayer, a ruler at the absolute top of his game. But then, it all falls apart. His own son, Absalom, leads a rebellion, and just like that, David has to flee his home, totally defeated and completely worn down. I mean, just try to wrap your head around that for a second. The man who commanded armies, who had an entire kingdom, was now totally dependent on the kindness of strangers just to get his next meal. His very survival was on the line.
And this is when Barzillai shows up. He wasn't some famous soldier or a prophet. He was just an older, well-off guy. But his most important quality? It was his quiet, steady loyalty.
And what's so amazing is how practical his loyalty was. Barzillai didn't just show up with a few nice words. No, he showed up with what David and his people actually needed. He brought food, supplies, beds, everything. And he did it quietly, not asking for anything in return. When you boil it all down, his motivation was just so simple. He saw someone at rock bottom, and he decided to step into that need with everything he had. No big speeches, no hidden agenda, just a pure human response.
And this is so crucial to get. Barzillai didn't swing a sword in the battle. He didn't lead the comeback. But make no mistake, without his quiet, behind-the-scenes support, King David's story might have ended right there in the wilderness. It's so often the quiet ones who make all the difference.
So, fast forward, the tide turns. David wins, he gets his kingdom back. And one of the very first things he does is remember the man who helped him when he had absolutely nothing. He sends for Barzillai, ready to give him the reward of a lifetime. I mean, this was it. This was his big moment. An invitation to live in the palace? That meant public honor, a life of luxury, a place in the history books. This was Barzillai's chance to finally step out of the shadows and get the recognition he had totally earned. But then, Barzillai does something incredible. He gently says no. And right here, in this moment, we see that there are two totally different kinds of reward. The palace, well, that offered what the world thinks is valuable: recognition, visibility, applause. But Barzillai? He'd already found his reward. It was peace, contentment, and that deep satisfaction that comes from simply being faithful.
So, okay, how does this ancient story about a king and a quiet old man have anything to do with us today? Well, the lesson from Barzillai's life is actually huge, especially for anyone who's ever felt unseen or unappreciated. This is really the heart of it all. True faithfulness, it's not about getting seen or getting credit. It's about being true. True to your word, true to the people you care about, true to that quiet little nudge you feel in your heart. So let me just ask you straight up, does this sound like you? Are you the encourager, the helper, the person working quietly in the background just to make sure everything doesn't fall apart while nobody else seems to notice? If that's you, I really want you to hear this. Your true worth has absolutely nothing to do with how many people clap for you. Your value is measured by something so much deeper: your faithfulness, those quiet choices you make day in and day out. And when you start to live from that place, something amazing happens on the inside. You learn to serve without needing the applause. You give without needing the credit. You love without any strings attached. And in that process, your heart is changed. It starts to look a little more like his. And maybe this is the most comforting part of it all. Every single quiet act of kindness, every small sacrifice, every time you chose loyalty when no one was watching, none of it is missed. The very things our world overlooks are the things that God sees and treasures most.
So if you're in that supporting role today, and you're feeling tired, maybe a little taken for granted, please take heart. You are not forgotten. And in the eyes of the one who matters most, you are definitely not invisible. You are seen.
So maybe, just maybe, like Barzillai, our greatest legacy won't be about what we build for ourselves, but about who we faithfully and quietly help to rise. Now that is a legacy that lasts forever.